Hey guys, today I want to take a moment to talk about the hopeful upcoming inquest into the death of Jay Slater, what it might reveal, what questions we still need answers to, and whether it will finally provide the closure that so many people have been waiting for. What an inquest is, and what it isn't. Jay Slater's body has now been found and returned to the UK, marking the end of an exhaustive search that gripped not just his family and friends, but also the wider public. For weeks, the case of the missing 19-year-old dominated headlines, sparking widespread speculation, heated discussions, and endless theories across social media. People watched anxiously as search teams combed through treacherous terrain in Tenerife, hoping for a breakthrough, only for the grim discovery to finally confirm their worst fears. Now, with the search over, attention shifts to what happens next. The focus is no longer on finding Jay, but on finding the truth. But let's be clear, an inquest is not a criminal trial. It doesn't operate like a courtroom drama where suspects are cross-examined, nor does it lead to arrests or prosecutions. It is not designed to assign blame or hold anyone accountable, at least not in a legal sense. Instead, an inquest serves as a fact-finding process, an official investigation conducted by a coroner to answer four fundamental questions: who died, where they died, when they died, and how they died. It's that last question, how, that holds the most weight. A simple verdict of misadventure or accidental death may close the legal book on this case, but will it close the door on public suspicion? Because if Jay's death was just a tragic accident, why do so many details still feel off? Why does every explanation seem to raise more questions than answers? Why do so many people, including those following the case closely, feel like the official narrative isn't adding up? Autopsy reports. What do they really tell us? Two postmortems have now been conducted, one in Spain, where Jay's body was first discovered, and a second in the UK after repatriation. Both autopsies concluded that his cause of death was due to injuries consistent with a fall from height. But beyond this clinical determination, the reports leave more questions than answers. Spanish authorities were quick to rule out foul play, stating that the fractures and trauma to his body were in line with an accidental fall. Their official stance suggested that Jay had wandered into a dangerous mountainous area, lost his footing, and plummeted into a ravine, resulting in fatal injuries upon impact. When his remains were returned to the UK, a second postmortem was carried out. And although it confirmed the same type of injuries, it did not fill in the crucial gaps about what truly led to his fall. So, case closed? Just a tragic misadventure? Not so fast. Autopsies can only tell us what happened to the body, not what led up to the moment of death. They can determine that Jay fell, but they cannot determine why. They don't tell us if he was pushed, if he was running in fear, or if he was in some way coerced or forced into an impossible situation. They don't confirm whether he was already injured before he fell, nor do they explain whether he was in a state of distress, exhaustion, or intoxication at the time. A fall explains the physical cause of death, but it does not explain the context. And that's where the story starts to unravel. What was Jay doing in that isolated area, miles away from his intended route? Did he fall purely by accident, or was he trying to escape something? Was someone else there that morning? A body in a ravine tells one story, but the circumstances leading up to it may tell an entirely different one. The big question: how did Jay end up in that ravine? Nothing about Jay's final movements makes sense. He was last seen leaving an Airbnb in Masca early in the morning, alone. Why? Why would a teenager in a foreign country suddenly decide to traverse miles of harsh, mountainous terrain without food, water, or phone signal? Why did he seem so panicked in his last phone call, claiming he was lost and needed water? If he was simply lost, why didn't he backtrack? Why did he keep moving deeper into dangerous, rocky landscapes instead of finding a road or safer route? More importantly, why was he in Masca at all? This isn't a casual, easy-to-reach area. Masca is remote, difficult to navigate, and completely out of the way from where Jay was staying. He had been at a music festival in the tourist-heavy area of Playa de las Americas. So what exactly happened in the hours that led him to the opposite side of the island? The men Jay was last seen with? Who are they? Jay wasn't alone when he left the festival. He was last seen in the company of two men he had recently met, Ayub Qasim and an individual known as Rocky. Ayub Qasim, also known as Quack Quack, is a convicted drug dealer from East London. In 2015, he was sentenced to 9 years and 9 months for orchestrating a heroin and crack cocaine operation. He was released early, but his criminal background is significant. This is not just any festival acquaintance. This is someone with a serious history in the drug world. Jay met Qasim during the NRG festival at Papagayo nightclub in Playa de las Americas. After the event, Qasim offered Jay accommodation at his rented Airbnb in Masca, reportedly because Jay had nowhere else to stay. Jay accepted and left with Qasim and another man known only as Rocky. Little is known about Rocky. His real identity has not been disclosed, and he has remained absent from public discussions. His role in the story is unclear. The trio arrived at the Airbnb in the early hours. According to reports, Jay seemed uneasy and spent time on his phone, messaging friends about his discomfort. Then, early in the morning, he left the Airbnb alone. Qasim later claimed he offered Jay a lift back to his accommodation, but Jay declined and set off on foot instead. Why did Jay suddenly decide to leave? What prompted his discomfort? Did something happen at the Airbnb that made him feel unsafe? Why has Rocky remained unidentified and unaccounted for? The no foul play statement, too convenient? The Spanish police ruled out foul play astonishingly quickly. They observed his injuries and concluded it was an accident. But was this a thorough investigation, or just the easiest way to close the case? Qasim and Rocky were questioned, but how thoroughly? Were their backgrounds properly checked? Did Jay leave willingly, or was he already injured before he fell? Did his injuries match an uncontrollable fall, or could there have been an altercation before his disappearance? Were his belongings, clothes, and phone examined for signs of a struggle? Masca isn't the kind of place you stumble upon by chance. Its remote, rugged terrain makes it difficult to access, and an unusual destination for someone unfamiliar with the area. While there is no confirmed evidence linking it to drug trafficking, its isolation could make it an ideal location for illicit activities to go unnoticed. The landscape is treacherous, and the idea that Jay, who had no experience in hiking or navigating such harsh conditions, decided to go walking there raises serious questions. No CCTV footage, except for a grainy, low-definition webcam that doesn't record video and couldn't positively identify anyone. No verified sightings of him after leaving that house, except for Ophelia, a witness who spoke out but refused to show her face on camera, and declined to speak to Jay's family during the search. Just a series of final phone calls to friends, some casual, some more urgent, then silence. What was Jay really running from? The drug connection. Was Jay in danger? Now let's address the whispers many are hesitant to say outright. The potential drug connection. There have been reports, not officially confirmed but widely speculated, that Jay may have been around people involved in drug dealing. Some sources claim he owed money. Others suggest he was caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Was Jay lured somewhere under false pretenses? Did someone tell him to go to Masca for a deal? Did he see something he wasn't supposed to? If Jay was running from something that morning, it changes everything. This isn't just a case of a lost tourist. This becomes a potential crime story, one where Jay was either chased, abandoned, or placed in danger. If this was truly just an accident, why were Spanish police so quick to close the case? Unanswered questions. Does the inquest go far enough? Even if the inquest ultimately rules Jay's death as misadventure, meaning an accidental death caused by risky behavior or poor decision-making, does that really mean the questions stop? Does a verdict like that satisfy the lingering doubts that so many people still have, or does it simply provide a neatly packaged conclusion that avoids the more difficult, uncomfortable truths? Think about it. Would you, in a foreign country, miles from safety, willingly embark on an 11-hour walk through extreme terrain, alone, without food, water, or any clear sense of direction? Would you choose to leave shelter behind, ignoring offers of a lift, and set off into one of the most dangerous and unforgiving landscapes on the island? And if you did, Wouldn't you at some point try to turn back? If Jay was simply lost, why did he keep going further away from civilization instead of looking for a way back? Why was his final location nowhere near a logical escape route? How did he get so deep into terrain that was known to be dangerous even for experienced hikers? And why, after one final desperate phone call, did he disappear completely, with no further contact, no signs of life, and no clear trace of how he spent his final moments? Something isn't right. A ruling of misadventure might provide a legal explanation, but does it truly explain the context? If the inquest doesn't probe deeper, if it simply stamps Jay's death as an accident and moves on, then aren't we failing to ask the bigger questions? Because yes, accidents happen. People make mistakes, and tragic outcomes can sometimes be random, unforeseeable. But so does foul play. And when the pieces don't fit, when key moments remain a mystery, and when too many things don't add up, we have to ask ourselves, are we being told the full truth, or just the most convenient version of it? Final thoughts. A case that won't be forgotten. If Jay's death was truly an accident, then fair enough, let the inquest confirm it. But if something darker happened, then we have to ask, is an inquest enough? If there was foul play, should the case be reopened? Should the last known people with Jay be properly questioned? Can we trust an investigation that wrapped things up so quickly? Because bodies tell a story, but so do missing details. Jay Slater's inquest may give us an official cause of death, but will it give us the real truth? Or will this just be another case of a young man who vanished under mysterious circumstances while the real story remains buried? Thanks for watching, and as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below.